to apply it, what we know in a rural reservation, with the idea that the place that unemployment, crime, poverty, trauma, substance use disorders, they all come together often in the experiences of prisoner reentry. And 90% of people who go away come home. And the idea that we have so little infrastructure for them and that we often leave them to fend for themselves in very hard like constraints for anyone, let alone someone with the obstacles they're overcoming. That's where I wanted to kind of shine my light. And I'm happy to say that my tribe, the Yurok tribe, is a world leader in tribal court systems. And so they were featured in the film we'll watch today and next time. And actually, next time we'll also get the chance to watch a pre-recorded panel session with Judge Abby, one of the judges featured in the film. I was like, I'd love to bring her every semester, but she's a judge for real still. So we've got some stuff to watch from last time, but there'll be an assignment this week in place of the quiz. Now, I did kind of jump around a little. We were talking about the final. Before I totally turn on the movie, I'm going to put it on the screen and just touch on it for a second. Let me screen share for our peeps in Zoom land. Seeing something in the chat. Yeah, people want to talk after class. I have a couple minutes, but I got to go catch a cat for the vet. So, that's it. But we might be able to talk by email during the film. So feel free to follow up there too. Now let's see here. Back to this guy. So if you have seen this, it'll look familiar. Go ahead. I know I was going to say, go ahead. Let me bring this up. Yeah, I don't know yet. I have after class is the plan, but I'm considering in person if we can get Thursday to line up. Next week there'll be in-person office hours, but after class on Thursdays is the scheduled time. Yeah. Yes, I mean, by appointment. So follow up by appointment if you want to talk more. Yeah. And it's a busy time, so definitely don't be shy. Send emails, get on the schedule now. And next week we have class on Tuesday, but we don't have class on Thursday. So I will probably come here to the class and just sit with like open office hours if anyone wants to drop in then. But then later that afternoon as well. Go beans. Let's see here. Oh, that's what I was showing you guys. Okay, so now I'm hoping that when you look at this assignment, you don't feel like instantly overwhelmed because it's like, why is there so many colors? And like, there's two different things. Why are there two different steps? Just tell me what you want and I'll do it. I appreciate that. I never am never not surprised at how much clarity UC Merced students seek. So in case you have questions about things like rubrics, there is one online, and there's also a handout of tips that we'll go over very briefly next. But when you look at this prompt, you should realize it is overly long because it actually is giving you options in your final turn-in such that hopefully you wind up feeling good about all the content there and not like, oh my God, what is going on? So to give you just a little context on the genesis of this project, we know we have to have finals. It is what it is. And I know students often do better when they get some level of choice in their final product, whatever that looks like. And I don't know if anyone here is familiar with the, I want to say it's through the Center for the Humanities, the anti-racist pedagogy resources. It's kind of like, I don't really like it's a club amongst the faculty, but they also put out different things. And so in the first iteration of this class, they were putting out different resources and they talked about ways we could make our classes just like more conducive to students. And so that's where we see the rolling deadlines that we have in this class come out of. So you have flexibility there. But then they also talked about giving flexibility in your finals. And so in this, you essentially will make two choices. And what you end up producing is kind of a byproduct of those two choices. We can kind of think of 4 different options, but it's more important to think of, what do I want to do? And then you make your choices from there. But first, you'll decide your content. Do I want to do a traditional research proposal, which might be your first time doing something like that, but I don't think it's outside of your realm of possibility, probably having taken stabs at different parts of it in other classes. But also in this class, I've tried to really point out how we know what we know, or keeping an eye to the methods we've been exposed to thus far. And so that is so that you can propose a project. Now, I'm not expecting you guys to be empirical scholars or methodologists, but what you'll do in this first content option, if you choose it, is essentially take what we've learned in class and decide where do I wish we knew more? What is a question I still have? And don't get me wrong, you guys aren't gonna like go do this project, but that's kind of the fun part. You have unlimited money, you have unlimited resources, you don't have to think about practical considerations, which is my life otherwise. But instead, knowledge production for knowledge production's sake. Based on what you've learned in this class, what are the questions that are still open to you? And if you were to pick one to try and think through how to answer, that's what you would do for content option 1. You would essentially talk about what this open question is, why you think it's important, and you're going to show mastery of the course by essentially synthesizing resources both in and outside of class that kind of moves the ball forward of like, why is this something that matters? And like, based on what we already know, what might we expect to find? Or what do we already know that leaves open questions still? Now, I, like always, try to give you ideas. If you pull one from this list to just flesh out on your own, you're more than welcome. That's totally an option. I will say right now that it's highly unlikely anyone will come up with a study that is completely new and no one's already done. But that's not the point. Instead, it's to kind of give you guys a chance to think through what's still interesting to you and what you'd want to know more about, given the chance. And that's it. Like, someone probably has done the work somewhere. We're not assessing you on that so much as your synthesis of in-course material with outside materials to kind of show that some of it's stuck, you know? Now, let's say you're like, I don't ever plan on doing any research ever in my life. Now, I was going to say, before I go to the other option, let's say we want to do grad school or something like that down the road. Like, a research proposal is often something that you can submit. So if you're someone who's like got grad school applications right now, or some other like goal on the horizon that we could conceivably make this project kind of support, I'm open to that. I've had students be like, I'm going to be turning in an application to the Student Research Center, and I want to use this as a chance to like write that up. Can I do that? Just see me and we can change those things to support you accordingly. But I understand that research is not everyone's vibe, even play and intellectual experiment research. So the other way to show mastery of the course is to do what is called an edited volume, where essentially you are telling someone, as if, when we read the articles in class, some of them have been taken from journals, some are chapters in books, some of them are like articles, but chapters in books, because they're called an edited volume, where someone will write the front and the back end that kind of tells you what it's all going to be about and what are the big themes and takeaways. But then every person for the 10 chapters in between is written by a different author or authors. And so their job in the introduction is to give the reader some common ground across the collection of articles they're about to read. And so in this assignment, you are getting the chance to kind of talk about what for you was the big takeaway for the course. And then that could be the theme that all of these articles have in common. And you write an introduction that talks about each of the materials, how they relate to this overarching thesis, and hopefully, someone else would reach a similar conclusion. But it's more important that you are able to show synthesis through that kind of, it's not just basic summary when you're doing an edited volume. You're going to be summarizing to a certain extent, but more importantly, you're going to be using what has been said to make your own point. And that point, drum roll, is like, what do I leave this class with? Like, what is the thing that stuck for me? Don't get me wrong, you might not have it yet, but like that one, both these projects serve you better to just spend a little time thinking on it before you do anything else. Just decide what's most interesting to you and what are the questions you still have open, and then work backwards from there. Now, this is due in 2 weeks from today. Yeah. Or 2 weeks from yesterday, excuse me. The 16th, yeah, right? I think, yeah. Or is it, no, it's the 16th. What's that? Yeah, grades are officially due Christmas Eve. It's fucked up, guys. I have a hard deadline for real this year. I will accept anything until Sunday, the 22nd at midnight. And then I'm doing my calculations Monday and I'm submitting them. That's it. Go ahead.
Reopen up the quizzes.
Yes. And actually, I would say, good question. There's quizzes. Unfortunately, I just, Hot Mess Express, reason 1306, rec letter season is going on right now. So if you've got a quiz that you're asking about, or if you're a handful of people who are still waiting on a grade for your essay, those are going to be cleared before I go to bed tonight. The quizzes are an easy fix. I just, had a couple, so I want to do them in batch form. But I also want you to know, if you're waiting on your quiz and you're like, what's wrong? What happened? Nothing happened. There was just questions in the grading phase, and I didn't want to hold up the other essays. And so I'm grading those ones, which is always exciting. It's not harder or better, but it just means it's waiting on my slow ass. But that's today. Good question. Now, any questions on this final assignment? Oh, actually, before I am done talking about it, there's one more thing. Christian, I see a question.
That red part there, where we like the edited volume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm not going to spend too much time right now on the nitty gritty, but it breaks it down, what each of these should include. And much like our other assignment, I do breaking it down by page, and this is where you get a cool other option. So once you decide kind of generally what you want to talk about, then you decide, do I want to write a paper or would I rather do a presentation? You don't give the presentation to anyone but yourself and your computer. But I think presenting is an equally valuable skill. And so in the format options, you'll see both of the contents broken up depending on which way you choose to submit. But if you do a presentation, essentially, hopefully we're all familiar with the recording function on Zoom, that we all have Zoom through the school. You start a Zoom, you would start screen sharing, and you don't even have to have your video on, but your submission would be the video file that's produced with your PowerPoint, talking through your slides. Go ahead.
The part for the presentation, and the fifth point says video. The last part for the fifth point says video and PowerPoint presentation with notes required to print. Do we have to submit the notes we took, or?
So the where is that one? Good point. Is it okay if you guys can see it? That's all that matters. There it is. I see it. Yeah, it's in italics. So yes. So actually, you're a step ahead of me. You don't know. I love it. It's the video submission, and then you'll upload your actual PowerPoint. And so if you have notes in there, it's fine. But it's not like you have to take your notes that you read. But you'll submit your PowerPoint with that video. Go ahead, Miguel.
So the final project is the essay or either one of the two, and then a video on it.
No. So it's either one of the two, and you pick, do I want to do an essay or do I want to do a presentation?
Oh,
It's one or the other. And full disclosure, in a time when grades are due on Christmas Eve, presentations are sometimes quicker to grade. But I personally think writing skills can sometimes be more valuable to gain. So I welcome both kinds of submissions. And honestly, we usually have a 50-50 split. But if you're like, shit, I don't know what breaks the tie, just putting that out there. Okay, now I am gonna turn us over to our movie. We are a little over today. So depending on how much we watch today, I might ask that you guys watch some on your own time, but I feel I hate being that professor. So we're gonna see. But it's a good enough film. I'm hoping it's at least compelling for the parts you see in class. And without further ado, we're gonna get up in it. Go ahead, I'm hearing ums. Maybe? No? Deep sighs, keep that to yourself. No, okay. Okay, okay, so hopefully Zoom and us will start to hear this soon. So it's a janky bootleg recording, and about 20 minutes in, the cursor eventually goes away, but you don't know the saga of this film. It's a $400 DVD that can't be ripped off. So yeah, it's a whole thing. I'm gonna stop my video.
job of the tribe is to try to re-engage people in a process that gets them to be in this world how it is now. And to say, okay, you know, we are village people, we have village values, and those values compel us to take care of each other, our families, and our country. Social ills here in our community just based on our vocation and the limitation to services. And so in my capacity here as chief judge, what I'm fighting for is our people. You know, our independence, our sovereignty,
Oh, darn it, guys.
our
I was
existence.
trying to make it better for Zoom. It is what it is. I'm sorry.
Birth. My mother was in Iraq and her parents were Iraq's. I'm the chief judge of the Europe tribe. I was the first Native woman lawyer in the state. I had to do with that. And they didn't take it really well. They weren't used to it. Lawyers tried to push me around. You know, at one point, a judge actually said to me from the bench, "You can't be a lawyer. You're an Indian." You know, and you have to learn not to react to that, because if you react to it, then they have you. You know, so you walk away.
Yes, right here, as I was.
Sir, there's no reason to yell at him, all right? He's trying,
I'm not.
you were yelling, and there's no reason to, he's trying his hardest. All right, I've read the affidavits, that's it. Thank you. The matter is submitted. It's way different in our court in a lot of ways from what people are used to from TV or from their own personal experiences. If either one of you want some help with your current personal situations, I'm happy to extend that too. Obviously, that's not a court order. That's just something I'm saying to you. If you want to do that, we can discuss it privately. It's just not how you ever meant it to be. You're supposed to interact with the people you're working with, know those people, care about them, and be part of them. She was ready to cry though. I know, she was high and she was ready to cry because she knows this isn't good. The state has a lot of responsibility for all the people. I have responsibility just for this one set of people, 6,000 Yurok and their families. But that's what I'm responsible for, to this land, to this place. It's everything, really. I mean, this place is everything. It's what it's all about for us. I don't even know how to say it. The fish will come soon. The salmon. And salmon are glorious. Beautiful. They'll come soon and they'll come up to you.
Country is very different, and it's dry, hot. And for somebody coming into our reservation, it looks like you're in the middle of nowhere and nothing good there, but we have a lot of history. We have a direct connection to the land we're on. We actually happen to be one of the tribes that's never been removed from our lands. Vastly diminished, but not removed. Every time I come up home, it's just feeling. I see the tumbleweeds on the side and the cottonwood trees and the tamaracks and salt cedars and the fields, and I know I'm home. Let me. Just. I was actually the first tribal member to serve in the capacity as their chief judge here on the reservation. That's the decision I'm gonna make today, is whether or not we're gonna allow aunt and uncle to continue to care for you. Because if you don't do your part, and you start acting out, not going to school, or you run away, you compromise the guardianship. That means I have to terminate it. That means you go back into state care. And that changes everything for you, takes you off the reservation. And we don't wanna do that. You interested in singing? Are you guys used to sing?
Yeah, me and my brother still sings, but I don't know, I kind of drifted from it. I don't know why or how, but
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of got away from me, but I'd be interested, yeah.
We'll let you know when we're getting together for practice, and if we can get together with the guys, because that always brings you strength.
Yeah.
I help keep you grounded here. You guys could be leaders in our community, or you could help destroy our community. in the tribal court process. We focus on restoration. We focus on trying to put families back together and give them what they need to help make them whole. I believe in an Indian country, when you're trying to restore something, you're not looking at just restoring a victim or even a defendant. You're looking at restoring the community. You're looking at restoring the tribe. In the state of California, the tribal judicial community is small. And you hear about something working somewhere else, and maybe that will work for our tribal community. Is the chief judge for the Yurok tribe, which is the largest tribe in California and is up north from us. It gets hard dealing with the elders to give them the respect that they deserve, and then be in the courtroom, and that, I found that challenging. So what I do is I sit at the table, I sit in on easy. I looked to her as a mentor. She graduated law school when I was born, so there is some age difference, and it gives me a real opportunity seeing somebody like Abby in the field, not only being in her tribal court as a chief judge, but also having been state court judge in the state of California. You know, as a state court judge, I knew that half of the people were unhappy with whatever I did, and that was kind of the rule. That was okay. There's a winner and a loser when you walk out of state court, straight up. That isn't okay here. It does not resolve the issue. One of the big differences between us and them is if I knew the person in front of me, I could not be their judge. All right, that's one of their founding principles. You have to, it is essentially justice by strangers. But in a village, that's not true. Nobody a couple of 100 years ago would have ever thought of going to a stranger if they had an issue. They just wouldn't have thought of that. They would have went internally to the people they considered the leadership in that village to try to resolve the differences. And it's very easy to say have a culturally relevant system. It's very hard to develop it because in fact there are no models for it. You have to create the model in your head. And what would that look like today? If we had not been invaded, how would that have evolved? The invasion came, people came looking for gold or for timber or for fish or whatever, and they took. And we were supposed to give up our dances, give up our language. A lot of people lost their lives around it and lost who they were. You have to try to make it up to them, the ones who are living and the ones who are dead.
Started when I was a kid. And I smoked a little weed here and drank a little bit and then started smoking cigarettes. And then I started using meth. Right around I was about 14, 15. And I was in San Quentin by 19. I got out when I was 26. I had 2 strikes, so I knew I couldn't do anything bad. I did my parole. And then I started using meth again, you know. And it must have just been like a demon laying down in me that I didn't think I'd ever use it, but I did, you know, just a hit. And then from there on, it was just boom, full on meth addict again.
I got a police report on my desk, and it shows Taos driving rather erratically. And he pulls into somebody's yard, bumps into a slide, gets out, demands some money from a guy that lives there, and then takes off driving erratically. They found on him in April 3.5 grams of methamphetamine. I'm saying, darn, he got him. You know, another one off the list, you know, try and clean this place up. I want it gone. You know, you stay prison, not soft time in the county. Lock up.
because he was a serious violent felon before. This is his third strike and he's looking at 25 years to life.
And I wanted to run, you know what I mean? I said, man, I ain't gonna be doing 25 to life, you know what I mean? Man, I might have been a bad guy, but I'm not a real killer or nothing like that.
Next thing I know, Judge Abby and her people got involved, with the court, with the wellness court.
Wellness court is another terminology for a drug court, in essence, and, but what we're attempting to do there is, employ some restorative justice.
So we'll do it as a family wellness function. So Anthony, if you could just.
Yep. In lieu of going to jail or prison, they get diverted to us. And then we would monitor them, drug test them, have them in a group, and help change the course of their life.
You know, because it never hurts to put in a personal appearance, I think, you know, so.
The state court doesn't give up jurisdiction. But what we can do is put somebody on probation and make a term and condition of their probation that they must comply with the Yurok tribal court.
Yeah, drivers, Thomas Proctor.
Judge Avenatti, in this system here, puts their word behind it, it carries juice, as it should, because they got a great success rate.
Since she's been the judge and has started the tribal court, it's been an interesting process because there's no rules in place. We work out the rules as we go forward because they're not written down anymore.
Well, but if you could just tell the court a little bit.
Well, I'm in rehab, I'm doing really good, I'm the secretary of the rehab right now. I should be moving up to president of the rehab. I'm starting a father program for like helping elders clean their yards and stuff like that. So I want to get back to the community, stay off the drugs and just finding myself again. And this is really the first time in my life I've ever been off drugs, really. I was in like locked up a long time. I was in CYA and in prison most of my life.
House was a product of alcoholism, and that alcoholism affected him in a really bad way. And he talks about the violence that was inflicted on him as a child and how he grew up hating and being violent himself. He was taken away at a very young age as well and taken to juvenile hall. And then from juvenile hall, he went to California Youth Authority. And then prison.
It's really the first chance where it opened my eyes and got me to look at myself and not just others. And always blaming other people, but they all had the problem and it wasn't them at all. It was always me that had the problem.
So I'd say at this point, you're in full compliance and we will communicate that to the state court also. What a good job you're doing and we will help you in those hearings. And we want to support you through that process too. So we'll do that. Okay.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
I'm in a position to go, let's help you on these things. Let us help you. Let us help you. We will stick with it until we resolve it. And this justice system, it represents that core value.
Cases that are most dear to me and most challenging, I would say, are the cases dealing with families and children. We have a lot of success here. We have a lot of good children. We also have a lot of children that need help, that need intervention, that need services, families that are struggling to try to keep their families together.
My son is George Art. He's my oldest and he's 9. He's got a few disabilities. He has autism. He also has epilepsy. But I try to show him how to live life without letting that cripple him because I want him to feel and know he is like everyone else.
We're ready to call the session on the courtroom, please, now, please. Mr. Denard, also later.
This action was filed by the Patron Social Service Department asking for a transfer of dependency. Okay, so I just wanted to understand clearly, starting in the state system was because you were basically at your wit's end trying to help your son, and then the level of care he needed was really beyond what you were able to provide in the home.
Yes,
Okay,
if you asked him to do his chores, there was an attitude or tantrum. There was moments where he was hitting me, spitting on me. You know, I couldn't handle him. At school, he'd get mad and throw a chair, or he'd punch on the teachers. Hey, that's not trained. They would say he was a threat to himself or to the students or staff, so they would send him in a police car all the way to Imperial County Behavioral Health Mental Institution and lock him up there in a little 4x4 room. He was only 7 at the time when all of this started. I don't understand the school. I don't know what they told CPS because I know part of what they said. I like this one. Because of the lack of resources here, I went to the county because they had more services to offer my son. They were supposed to help my son medically and educationally, and they put him in a group home thinking that would be good for him as well. In agreement that this would only last for 6 months, he should be returned, we're done, that's it. But it didn't turn out that way. But this one. Visitation, I go and get them, 4 hours up and 4 hours back, so the whole day. They give them to me for visitation on a Friday evening, and then Sunday evening, I have to have them back before 6. If not, they would count that against me.
as it sits in the state system, mom has been unable to reunify, meaning the state is unwilling to relinquish basically their jurisdiction over the case. But it is an ICWA case, it's an Indian Child Welfare Act case, and ICWA is a piece of federal legislation that was put in place to help give tribes the opportunity and Indian parents the opportunity to maintain custodial rights over their children. And the court will work to help alleviate that issue with the state judge. Okay, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and stand adjourned on this matter. Okay, thank you.
That's where we're at right now, is trying to see if tribal court will be able to pick up the jurisdiction of my son's case, have him come back to the reservation, and just let me continue taking care of my kid the way I have been. They wouldn't just let me come home, and my mom was trying to fight for me to come home.
Historically, in the United States, when they were trying to get Indian people to assimilate, the worst way they did that to our people is they removed our Indian children from Indian homes and their families, sent them to boarding schools, and cut off contact from their reservations and their families. Through that assimilation process, the federal government thought they were going to turn Indian people into American people, as, you know, civilized people as they would perceive it to be. And through that process, you know, our children perished, they died. From lack of, you know, connection to their parents, to their family, to their community, loss of language, loss of culture, and for life as they knew it. People steal children, it's they hurt children, and then our children come back hurt, and then they hurt other children, and they hurt their children. That's what we're trying to stop.
Well, I'd like to welcome everybody out here to the 2014 Missing Design Budget. This time, we're gonna go ahead and invite up the visiting royalty, give them an opportunity to tell you a little bit about themselves and the tribes that they represent.
I've been raised and born on the reservation and not immune from everything that might bring. Through alcohol abuse, through physical abuse, or to whatever it is that happens in our community, I've not been immune to that.
And we really appreciate you coming and celebrating with us tonight.
That's how we grew up. And my dad, we actually lost him to an overdose, to a drug overdose of cocaine and heroin. But it put a real fear in me. And I know I could either go one way or the other. If anything, I think it probably kept me on a straight and narrow path. To see the cycles and the things that come from it.
Then my mom couldn't take care of us no more because my stepdad was hitting us and they were doing drugs. So she put us in a group home. We'd only be there for a couple of weeks and a bunch of time passed and we knew we were gonna go back after like the 4th, 5th month. And I was in a group home from probably 11 or 12 all the way till I was 16.
So when he returned home, I heard that he was drinking or he might be using drugs. And we told him, hey, if you want a stable place to stay, your own blanket, your own bed, you can come here, we'll help you. And yeah, okay, thank you, Auntie. It's been the first time in almost 3.5 years that Isaac had been in a traditional school. And so he was 2 years behind going into school at 17.
School, getting my grades up, trying to keep myself focused so I can hopefully go to college someday.
Oh, Isaac. Okay. Thank you.
I want to show that you can do better from coming from wrong. So, yeah. My tattoo says, every sinner has a future. Every sinner, I mean, no matter the person, they can always have a future.
Started learning lightning songs. The lightning songs are probably some of our strongest songs. Seeing people have complete turnarounds in their life when they're seeing in our community and participating in our culture and our traditions and our songs, and you'll draw strength from it. Probably been about 3 weeks or so. I get a call from his mother telling me that Isaac had 2 warrants out for him before that. And that he was going to be arrested and he needed to come turn himself in. I was like, for what? Because I'm thinking, oh good, we're on a good path, we're doing good and nothing but going forward. And then I hear this, so I was pretty taken back by it.
I was accused of burglary, and shoplifting. That's what we used to do in the group homes. I mean, we would go around going through people's cars and stuff like that, through the neighborhoods. Just I don't know, it's just out of boredom, I guess, because
This is Isaac's first time being charged with the crime, so I'm hoping that they give him the opportunity to stay there in school and to not be detained in juvenile hall. Because for the first time in a long time, he's actually in a traditional school setting with the opportunity to just be a kid. Case was here in tribal court as opposed to state court, would be looking at giving him the help that he needs to correct his behavior in a more traditional and restorative way. At this time, we don't have the opportunity to transfer those types of cases. So that could have possibly been a difference if we had something like that in place. It's important for tribes to establish jurisdiction over these cases so these children don't get lost to the state.
So it's really cutting edge what you are trying to do in terms of exercising jurisdiction and negotiating with California and negotiating with Imperial County.
I see it happening in California right now with adults. And one of our sister courts, the Europe tribe, they are doing just that with adults. The states are deferring prosecution of tribal members, working with the tribal courts, putting plans in place, using alternative methods that are more culturally acceptable and more likely that you're gonna get success in terms of changing that behavior or addressing that issue, and then ends up in a state dismissal. And so I'm thinking we can do the same things with our juveniles here.
There is absolutely no reason why any tribal authority or supervision should not be part of a deferred prosecution plan.
Right.
thinking back into the group home days, promised myself that I wouldn't drink, that I wouldn't smoke.
All righty, we're almost at time, and I am gonna say we are gonna watch some on Thursday, but in the interest of time, since I also have some other material to show you, I've posted the link and I'll put further guidance on. If you like it, you could just watch it on your own device now. I'm thinking in class, we'll watch the last 15 minutes together. So I will put notes up on online, but we ended at 32:20. That's hilarious. I swear to God, it was the same time last time. At least I'm consistently. I was like, the tech kneecaps me consistently, always. But thank you guys for bearing with me. If you want to hang and ask questions, I've got a couple minutes while I finish up. I'll post info about this week's office hours otherwise. And I forgot to talk about the tips, but there is a form, like a little thing about your essay. So feel free to check that out. Last thing, evaluations, I think, are officially open. So fill that out and you get extra credit. I'll tell you more next time. Thank you guys in Zoom land. You're officially free. I'm going to take some questions in the room, but go ahead and hang out and let me know in the chat if you're waiting for me. Hi, Cushy, you are still here. I'm happy to, yes, you're getting regraded. I think I'm regrading you. Let me double check if you're on my list. No, but I'll add you right now. So is it already on CAT courses? If it's not, you can go and resubmit. If it doesn't let you, you can send it to me, but I'm putting you on my list right now. Kimberly does the bulk of grading, so I think she graded it in the first pass, and then you and I were in touch after. So just send it. If you could do me a favor, it'd be helpful to see if you can just re-upload it to CAT
Yeah,
course.
I uploaded it right when I was finished.
Okay, then I put you on my list and I'm gonna say that's a regrade and you will see you'll see your midterm essay. I'm thinking it'll go up. Yeah,
Okay, thank you so much.
of course, no problem. See you next time.